Hi guys, we're going to be going live in just a couple of minutes. Hello and welcome to this week's AMA. So last time we had quite a lot of technical questions from people about their stations and things that they wanted answering. So this time we've decided to focus solely on technical support questions. So I'm joined by Phil and Dave this week.
Hello. Oh, get me arm in shot, the right one. There we go.
Hi.
Cool. How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you. Yeah.
Excellent. So we've had quite a lot of questions in this time, right?
Yeah, loads.
Yeah. So like you said, Mike. Yeah, we're we got a lot of requests about people wanting to ask more technical questions because I guess we were targeting more at novices or newcomers to online radio. So yeah, we've opened it out people to ask more technical based questions about running their stations. You know, whether they're still just looking into launching their station or they've actually created one and they're sort of already rocking. So so we got a great response of questions covering all sorts of things. So me personally, I'm going to sort of look at some the best ways to use tags and linking that into using how to sort of schedule advert blocks in as well. So
cool. Sounds interesting.
So Dave, anything in particular you're going to cover this evening?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit through the application process, the difference between the iOS versus the Android app process, and kind of what we do for you on that side of things as well.
Cool. And I guess these are all based on popular requests and questions that people do send in to us. So yeah, that's why we're focusing, doing 2 little workshops on them, and also answering any questions you've sent us and that you're sending us live.
One question is just coming live. Just before we jump into the questions that have been asked, Lee Everest asks, will we still be on at 9 because he's driving home? So yeah, we probably still will be broadcasting at that time, but if not, then we'll be sharing the post-broadcast video with everyone.
Yeah, so even if you miss it live, you can still watch it anytime you like, on demand. Cool. Cool. Should I start? Should I go to the first question? Cool. Okay. So so the first question is, you might think it's a very, very simple question, but it's something that a lot of people ask as soon as they launch the station, which is, how do people listen to my station? So this particular question is from Ramabel, who said, got a brand new station, want people to listen to it. How do they do that? So I guess there are a couple of ways in how people can listen to your station. First of all is you get a URL, like a unique URL that's assigned to your station when you do sign up. People click on that and it takes them immediately just to a blank page with a play button and they can listen to it that way. Arguably, I guess a much more attractive way, dare I say, of listening to your station is you can have a web player. So if you have a website, you can copy and paste like a web player, so anyone visiting your website can just press play, listen to your station without disrupting your station. So even if they do browse to other internet sites, they're still listening to your station. Obviously, Dave's going to go through the mobile apps a little later, but mobile apps are a great way of people listening to your station as well. It's just simply a case of opening up a mobile app and they hit play and that's it. They're instantly listening, and things like that you can add on to a Radio.co account if you do want to. And probably the newest thing that I think particularly is really cool, because as much as I like to think I'm all up on tech, I don't have a smart speaker, and maybe that's a good thing, I'm not too sure, because they are pretty creepy. But yeah, smart speaker. We do have an Alexa skill that you can set up for your station, and that give someone the ability to shout into their Amazon Echo devices and listen to your station that way without having to lift a single finger, which is great for everybody. So I guess the answer to the question is there are so many ways that people can listen to your station. Internet radio directories as well is a good one, a good way of people listening to your station, and you can get added to them for free, and they're pretty painless to set up. But I guess right from the off, as soon as you create your station, just a URL that you can share on social media and with friends and family. And yeah, a web player. It's free to make, and yeah, if you've got a website, it's a great way of directing people to your radio. And Mike, I guess obviously you're the expert more in this field. Is having your own website is a great way of helping to market and promote your station, isn't it? It gives people like a home base to, or a visual presence for your station.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the destination. It's the home of your station, and I think it's a really valid point that you made. Then you want to be on the App Store. You want to be on Google Store. You want to be in all of the directories, but at the same time, what you want to be doing is building your station as a destination, and getting, capturing contact details of your listeners.
So yeah,
website's the perfect place to do that, really.
Yeah, and again, sort of, Dave will go on this with the apps, but yeah, you just basically what you want to do is not just give people the, just the easiest way out. I guess the easiest way of listening to your station via a URL. You want to kind of just market and promote your station as good as possible. You need to build that visual presence that you've got with an online radio station. So having a website and adding the web player to that and mobile apps, it's not just giving people a different means of listening to your station. It's just making people more familiar with your station because it's wider available. Arguably, it's a lot easier to find.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
And just to follow up on that, we get a lot of people on support asking what the N3U link is on the Listen Links page. And essentially, that's just a playlist link, and that downloads onto your computer. And then when you open it your computer, it'll open in like maybe iTunes, VLC, essentially a desktop media player, and it'll play your stream that way. So people don't always have to be connected through a web browser. They can connect that way through a desktop media player as well.
Yeah. So, so many ways, so easy to do, and it's just a case of deciding which ones you want to involve in. And the best thing is, I guess, is that I know we have add-ons that you can add on, like the apps and the Alexa skills, but a lot of the best ways of getting onto your station are free as well, like so internet radio directories. They're free, and they are people do flock to them to listen to stations. So, yeah, whatever your budget is, you can get people listening to your station in many different ways.
Okay, we've already got quite a lot of questions coming in live. So should we jump into the spreadsheet and try and cover off some of those first, and then we'll jump into the live questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look here.
Okay, I've got another question. Sorry to jump in there. Yeah, a question here from I think you highlighted the one I was just about to go through, Dave. So you might as well take that one. Yeah. You take that one.
So we got one from Music for the People. Wayne at Music for the People. He asked how to edit song intros so there's no dead air, and how many tags do you suggest? I mean, tagging is really kind of based on how you really want to run your station. If you want to do it by genre, decade, or even genre and decade together to give you a really more like zoned in tag on maybe 10, 15 tracks. It kind of really depends on what you want to do. I personally, where I do kind of my decade and genre as separate tags, and then I do a combined decade and genre, so I can really refine my playlist to what I really want. So if it's a generic 80s tag in there, could be anything from the 80s, for example. I'd really want to get specific with it. In regards to editing, if you open the dashboard, head to any of the media folders, and then you should see three dots in an actions column. If you click that and open the track editor, in there you can adjust the fade and cue points of that track. So you can adjust when it cues in, how long the fade is, and again when that fade out starts, and then when it finishes. So you can really get tight transitions between your songs, so you're not really getting maybe the 3 seconds of silence at the end, or the 20-second guitar outro.
Yeah, it's a good practice. We say to people, like, every track you upload, have a look in the track editor, because it's always good to just adjust any fade-ins, fade-outs, get the track playing exactly how you want it. So yeah, it's good practice just to really sort of add a lot of refinement to your track. So yeah, good practice. Look through that.
Yeah, and another thing as well, any custom fade set up on the track editor override the crossfade, the default crossfade on your station. So if you've got a 3-second default crossfade, but you maybe want to change the track on the track editor, that track editor crossfade will override the default on your station.
Cool. And yeah, obviously Dave mentioned it before about the tagging, so I'm going to go into more detail about the tags sort of shortly, just after another couple of questions. But yeah, so sort of really good advice there. Thank you very much, Dave.
No problem.
Again, I'm going for another sort of simple question here. So someone's just asked, Manuel from Hard Rock Stations just asked, can it be a hard rock station instead of some dance or EDM music? Easiest answer to that is, with Radio.co, you can any station you want, any genre of music. If you want it to be a talk-based station, you can do whatever you want. I might have touched this in the last Ask Me Anything we did. Was the thing when you want to start your own station, or if you've launched it already and you're still unsure of what direction to go in, or you just want to find your particular niche and focus for it, is you can't replicate and you can't fake passion. So whatever you've got passion for and knowledge for, whether it is the latest pop tracks or hard rock, or if it's just political talk station, do what plays to your strengths. Like, so even if you've got a small collection of soul music, if you are hugely knowledgeable on your soul music, go for that, because even if you've got a smaller audience, people can hear the passion and the interest and the knowledge you've got for a particular subject. So yeah, start a station without any genre, any following that you want. Just make sure it's one that you're passionate about, because people can hear the passion when they're listening to your station.
Yeah, and there's a similar question as well from What Next Radio, and from Mitchell there. He asked, his station's geared towards independent and unsigned artists. Would you recommend focusing on building listenership first, or a catalogue of artists and tracks? And personally, I'd say do both at the same time. Yeah. If especially unsigned artists, reach out to them, ask them for the music. They'll probably give you free copies of that. That'll definitely build your catalogue, and obviously if you're telling them and asking for them, they'll probably give you free plugs on their channels, etc., if you're playing their music. So yeah, I definitely do both at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that's just generally anything you want to start and build, the best way to sort of get somewhere is to just do things. Really, it doesn't have to be either or. You're best to just keep chipping away at everything.
Yeah, agreed. Exactly. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to start sort of my little sort of explanation of tagging, because tagging is like a really good, I dare I say, essential tool for successfully managing your radio station anyway. So I've got my little demo screen popped up, ready. There we go. So as you can see, I've got the very original name of Radio.co demo. That's the name of my station. So yeah, I'm going to go through tags, because we do get a lot of questions about, and obviously Dave just mentioned one earlier, but just about, I guess, how do you use tags efficiently? And it also blends in with another point, other questions that people do ask a lot is about advertising, and a good way of incorporating advertising in your radio station is by using tags. So I'll explain a little bit more about that. So tagging, first of all, can be found in the media tab here, and I'm going to go to tags. So what a tag is essentially literally it's a brightly colored label, but what that brightly colored label does is it can help you categorize all of your media. So if you're just looking at all of your tracks, if I go to all of my tracks, I've got a huge eclectic collection, Bob Marley, Sophie Alex Bextor, remember her? Liberty X, Blue. I guess a lot of British pop here, so you might not be familiar with them all. But you can see all these tracks here, they've all got different labels on, and they're here just for illustration purposes. Obviously, Kylie Minogue is not jazz, but if I wanted to identify it as jazz, I've labeled it as so. I've also got pop, because maybe I'm doing a pop-related show, so I've tagged tracks as pop, or chilled, rock. And if I go to the top here, it says add and create tags. If I click on this, it's actually going to display all the tags that I've currently made. And you'll see a few more. I've got, rap, heavy metal, jingle. It's a really good practice of tagging all of your jingles because you can keep tabs on how many you've got. So you can see all the different tags I've got. And if I go to the tag section again here on the left, I can see those tags I've made. And next to each of them that I've used, you can see how many tracks I've got identified. So 53 tracks here is the Beatles. I've got 124 house classics, arguably 123 too many. But you can see I've got all of them here, like so. And tags are just, I said, really great in helping you keep a grip on exactly what you've uploaded to your account. So I said about jingles before. So currently, I've not got many. I've only got 2 jingles, but I know that's how many I've uploaded to my account. Now I'm going to create a new tag. So if I go back to my tracks here. Okay, so to add a tag to a particular track, I'm going to highlight these top 3 tracks just by clicking on the little white box next to each track, and I go to the top where it says add and create tag. So I'm going to enter a brand new one. I'm going to have advert. So these are 3 adverts that I've, or commercials that I've uploaded to my account that I want to play on my station. So I'm going to tag them as advert. Click on add. And when I click on add, it applies it a color just so it's pretty to look at and to more easier to spot. And you can see it's tagged each of those tracks as advert, like so. So now I know I've got 3 advert tracks. And once I've created that tag, I can tag any other track that follows the same suit. So like that, I've tagged 3 tracks there. Bottom, and there we go, it's right at the bottom. I don't need to type it in anymore. Click on advert and click on add. And if I go back to the tag section here on the left, you'll see if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, I've now got 6 tracks I've identified as advert. Okay, and the reason I've done that is what I said before, is a lot of people ask about how's the best way of incorporating adverts or advert blocks essentially into your playlist. And the way to do that is by using your tags as adverts. So let's put it into practice. So if I go to playlists, you'll see a couple of my playlists that I've got here. So I'm going to open up one that I've got here. So I'm going to open up my default playlist first of all, which, whether you are aware or not, our default playlist automatically fills in the gaps for you when your station hasn't got anything scheduled. So if I've got 3 hours of gaps in between shows, then the default playlist will automatically fill in that gap. So it's a really good way of automating your playlist, your programs. So I've opened up my default playlist. Okay, so by default, it does just list all of your tracks like so. However, if you go to the tab on the left, it will say tags, and it will then display all of the tags. So how this works is, as an example, I've got a 90s tag here. I think I had about 150 tracks I tagged as 90s. If I drag that in, what it's going to do is after it's played Nickelback here, when it gets to this tag, the software is going to play a random track associated with that tag. So there's 150 to choose from. It will play a random one. I could also put it in again and it will play another random one. And in fact, if you've got 150 tracks, it's going to play all those tracks at least once before it starts repeating any, which is obviously very, very handy. And the same applies with our adverts. So if I scroll right down to the bottom, we've got the advert tag here that I've made. Now, if I wanted an advert to play maybe every 15 minutes, I can just drag this in, put it roughly around that time, 15 minutes, and there we go. So what's going to happen is after it's played this track, in the same sense as this 90s tag, it's going to play a random track associated with the advert tag, which are, my 6 adverts. So obviously I won't know which one will play until it gets to it, but it will just play a random one of those 6. Of course, if there was a specific advert that you wanted to play at a time, then it's always best to select it specifically from your tracks here. But if if you're not really fussed about which ones are actually playing, then yeah, every 20 minutes or so, once every hour maybe, you can just schedule these adverts to play and they'll then play automatically at the times that you've specified. So that's a really good way of building adverts. And again, you can just put another one. Maybe you've got another advert you want to play, it will just play a different one to the one that's just played. And while I was on that topic as well, I mentioned about jingles very quickly. Jingles are a great thing to tag because you could have dozens, you could have loads of jingles. And of course, you're not bothered about which ones are exactly playing because they're all, advertising your station. So tag all of your jingles and just place them wherever they need to play. And it just means that you don't have to meticulously decide exactly which jingles are playing. They'll just play at random there. So, so I hope that's sort of been helpful. Like I said, it's a good way of just adding a lot of automation to your station. It's essentially it's a way of shuffling your station. You don't know what's going to play until it's started playing there. So yeah, tag all of your adverts, tag all of your jingles, tag any other production you want, enter it into your playlist, and it will just keep playing it at random whenever you like. There we go. Save my changes. And there we go. And now once that's scheduled in, that will play those adverts or those jingles exactly when I specified them to. So yeah, thank you very much for my short presentation there on tags.
Thanks, Phil. That was great.
You're very welcome. A lot of awkward silence there, but thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry,
I'll tell you what, actually, I've just seen a comment here from Finn. Actually, it was a good point because obviously Dave was talking about the track editor. Might as well show how the track editor works. You can share my share my screen again. Let me get
cool. Okay, let's do it.
Great point, Finn. Thank you very much. We should have done that before. So the track editor, as Dave said, if I go to the media tab here, and we've got all of our tracks here. So if I want to edit any of my tracks, let's just pick a random one here. So Waiting in Vain by Bob Marley. So if I click on this, the options button or the action button, you'll see track editor here. And track editor is available from our bronze package upwards. So if you're on the light plan, you won't have access to it. So if it is something you do want, recommend upgrading to bronze. But here we go, is our track editor. You can see you can also change the artwork of your track here. If it's not right or you want it to be a more personal piece of artwork, you can set it there. So as I scroll down, you can see the different queuing in points. So at the moment, it's just pretty much right at the start of the track. And this is actually a good example here because we've got a huge gap here. I say huge, but it's huge in terms of musical sense. So if I wanted to close this gap in, I could, if I wanted to, have a long fade in here, and you can see this fade in, fade out is occurring for 46 seconds. But if that's what you want, you can have it like that. You also sort of bring it in. So if you want to finish the track at 3 minutes 40, opposed to when it usually finishes, you can fade it out so it finishes right on, sort of 3:39 there. If you wanted to have a just a complete sort of sudden stop, you can drag them together. It doesn't mean that as soon as it gets to this particular time, it's just finishing dead, more or less, so no fade out. But obviously, people might want to have a nice fade out track. So I said it's very easy. Just slide at the top, meet it with the bottom to adjust when you want a fading in point, or if you want it just to be stop at a complete standstill. And if I press play, I'm not going to, just in case it deafens us all. If you press play, it will then play what you've set it. So it will play the fading and then you sort of fade out there. So so thank you very much for bringing that to our attention, Finn. So that's how you would use the track editor. Just have a play around with it and add your manual fading in and fading out points to your tracks. And rather than dragging in, you can just enter the actual amount there as well if you wanted to in these boxes.
David Rock has just asked in the live question something related to sort of what you were just showing. Is I experience repeats when I add the tags in my playlist. What am I doing wrong?
It may be a separation rules issue. That 9 times out of 10, that's what kind of they are. So a lot of people have, for example, album separation turned on, but and no exclusions in the for that, or like our album separation turned on and have unknown for a lot of albums. That is like one of the main things that we have with separation rules, when people have unknown for essentially all their albums and have album separation on. So it's definitely worth playing around with your separation rules and kind of seeing what results you get from them.
Yeah, like I said, it's always worth just checking, like Dave said, the album and the artist separation, because they're great ways of making sure a particular artist isn't repeating or a particular album track isn't repeating. But sometimes it kind of messes, I guess, the natural ruling of the playlist, and it will sort of not necessarily play how you want it to. So always have a look make sure you understand how both of those features work, I guess, before switching them on anyway, just to make sure everything's running smoothly.
Okay, next question.
I just seen one from Daryl. He talks about changing ownership of a station. I'd say send us a message and we can help you out with that. There's a couple of things we need to ask you, and we'll just reply to that in a message for you. So send us a message through the chat widget or via email, and we'll get back to you about that.
Cool, excellent. Okay.
Daryl D says, awesome Daryl D. Day says, awesome presentation on tags. I knew there was a more efficient way of doing it. So that was good.
There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Daryl. Like I said, that it's a very, very simple way. It's not just to categorize what tracks you are. It's such an easy. You can build a playlist solely built of tags as well if you just want a completely random show. So, there are fun ways to use them as well.
Okay, should we go to these questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Dave, anything in particular that has jumped out at you to discuss?
Someone mentioned getting beds on voice tracks, which is an interesting one. So if you're voice tracking, there isn't a kind of set way to do it, but depending on your setup at home and how you're voice tracking, I mean, yes, you can. There's a couple of ways. You could either record directly into like a desktop piece of software, maybe an Audacity, Adobe Audition, an underlayer bed on that, or if you're using a mixing desk and feeding that into your computer and recording your voice track that way, you can then obviously use a different input and then set your bed under that. So you are getting that kind of as live bed under a kind of sound without having doing both on the platform, as it were. So you're recording your voice tracks straight into there with a slight bed underneath.
Cool. Yeah, that's a very sort of popular question people do ask, because it's you can just have them using on the crossfades if you want music in and out. But yeah, no, that's good to know, Dave, about sort of how to do it.
And just another one coming in there about can you tag tracks with more than one thing? Yeah, you can tag them with as many as you want. You can be as specific or as generic with your tags as you want, really. You can tag 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah, so it's good. Yeah, so whatever you want to class your tracks as, yeah, just tag them, and then you can mix them around as much as you want in your playlist then. Cool. So Dave, do you mind sort of about describing, I guess, sort of the app process, because that's something that we do test a lot. People. I mean, I guess it comes after this question really from Stefan Van from Soul Funny Radio. Do I have to know about iOS programming in order to purchase the app feature?
Quick answer is no. You don't. We kind of do everything for you, really. There are app wizards. So if you head to the add-on section on your dashboard, and then
you're referring to yourself one day.
Me, the support team at Wizards.
Yeah. Sorry. Carry on.
If you head to the add-on section on your dashboard, you'll see like a iOS add-on section and an Android add-on section. If you click those, that'll take you to the submissions for both. You do need to fill them in separately, as they require separate things. Android, we require a bit less information for, so that's kind of essentially you build the frame of your app. There's like a mock phone on the right hand side, kind of, which shows you how that will look on someone's phone, and you can mess around on that as well and click through the different buttons, so you can really get a feel of how your app will look. And then you send that to us with your privacy policy that you've set up already. Essentially, that's just a legal document. You have to host one on your website, or Google and Apple won't let you upload apps to that. It is a really important part of the process, and it kind of is the main one where people fall down, is privacy policies. They either try and maybe use because they don't know how to use one. They maybe try and add one that they think covers them when it doesn't. And like I say, it is a legal document, so you really do need to be quite make sure it is your own. We do have a guide on that on the help center. If you just go there and search privacy policy, there's a guide there. You can always feel free to bounce questions off us as well if you're not too sure, and send us links to your policies before you submit them if you want, just to make sure that they'll pass any tests, and we're happy to advise on that. So that once that kind of is done with your Android, that's a bit more simple of a process. We'll get that one, review it, and then develop that for you if it passes review. And we'll send you back an app bundle along with all the screenshots and your icon. And then you can upload that to your Google Play developer account. We do require you to have your own Google Play and Apple developer accounts to do that, just so for peace of mind for yourself, because obviously you've got full control of your app and your stations then as well. So yeah, you upload that one to your Google account. With the Apple one, it's a bit more complex. We do ask for like store listing information, for example, such as description, keywords, things like that, because we build your app and upload it to Apple for you. So once you sort of submit that to us with your Apple developer information, we'll test all your credentials and things like that, make sure it's all fine, move it on to the next stage, which is essentially booking a call with one of our team members. And we call you up and we gain access to your Apple developer account there, and when we build your app right there, and then it takes us about half an hour to 45 minutes, and then Apple from there kind of take about 48 hours to approve an app from there. So that's kind of the main differences. I mean, some of the main kind of problems that we see, like I said, is privacy policies is a big one. Of incorrect credentials on Apple developer accounts. So someone's kind of maybe capitalized their first character of a password or something like that. That's another kind of stumbling block. And one of the other ones that a lot of people don't know is you can't have transparency on an iOS app icon, but you can on Google. So that's kind of a little intricacy between the two of them, and another reason kind of why there's two different submission processes. So yeah, those are kind of like the three main reasons why we would reject an app submission. But we just ask you to kind of change those things and send it back to us, and we'll kind of get the ball moving again.
Yeah, cool. One thing, obviously, I know that a lot of people do ask us is, they're paying us for the mobile apps development, but what's the other cost involved? What are the developer accounts?
Okay, so the developer accounts are essentially accounts that you hold with Apple and Google to develop your applications onto their systems. They do vary in price. Google, to my knowledge, is $25 plus tax, and I think it's a lifetime one. And then Apple is a bit more expensive. That's $99 plus tax per year. And they are payable to Apple and Google themselves, and you do have to set up those accounts with those two bodies themselves. You can't set them up through us, for example. However, Alexa's different than that. Alexa, we do all that for you.
Cool. Obviously, we mentioned it before about different ways to your station. While we're talking about add-ons, might as well talk about what's the process behind getting an Alexa skill. What do you have to do? What do we have to do?
So Alexa skill is pretty similar, really. It's like a little app wizard. You kind of go through, ask you questions, and you have to put a description in, upload a logo, things like that, and choose your invocation. Your invocation is essentially what someone says when they speak to their device. They might say, "Open my radio station on Radio.co," or similar, and that's what Alexa will trigger on. My Alexa was triggered on it, so but yeah, that's the kind of thing.
Mine as well, actually.
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing. So yeah, that's what we ask you for in there, and then like I say, once that passes all our internal kind of checks and processes, we develop them from there. Alexas are about a week once they pass the process. Androids are about the same, and just because of the volume of iOS apps, it's a little bit longer on those.
It's kind of going into 20 questions now. I've turned into people asking questions. So with the like the developer accounts and stuff that you need, when should we get developer accounts? Like before we start building the app, or sort of when you ask for it?
Ideally, yeah. If you could set them up before you submit your app to us for the Google one, we don't really check that because we send the Google app to the client, to the station owner, really to upload themselves. But the iOS one, we check that with part of the app submission. So if you don't have one at that point, we'll kind of go, "You don't have a Apple developer account, please sign up for one."
Just asked for Alexa, do you need music licensing, or does Amazon cover that?
No, you need to be licensed yourself for an Amazon Alexa. You do need to have licensing in place. They do occasionally ask us to prove licensing for the stations that we add onto there, so you do need to have licensing. And as part of that as well, you do submit to us a permission document, which says we're allowed to submit your radio station to Amazon and that you are properly licensed as well.
We've got about 10 minutes left, and I'm just aware that we've got a lot of questions that have come in that we've not really got around to answering. So shall we do a quick fire round and try and get through?
Yeah, let's do it.
As many as we can. What do you think?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. No, I've had one through just because it links back to what we were talking about. is, as sort of Charles has asked, with advertising, is there a way to get a report or track what time a track was played and how many listeners were there? Yes, if everything that you upload to your account and then broadcast is automatically reported on, and you'll find this in your report section of your account, and it will do exactly that, as Charles has asked. It will display the name of the track, how many times it's played, how many people listen to it, and you could then download that report and send it to advertisers if you wanted to, so they can see how popular it is, your station or that track is. And also within your statistics, you can actually see when the most popular time of day is. So, if you said, maybe having their adverts playing in the morning isn't working, maybe change it to the most popular time, which might be in the afternoon. So, there are ways that information you can send to advertisers and amend them on your station.
Next. Quick fire.
Quick fire. Say quick fire. We've got to read them as well.
We've got a question from One Media World Radio about the website. Can they get a video? Yep. Yeah, it's part of one of the website builder packages. You can embed video on there as well. That is I think it's part of the Plus package off the top of my head, embeddable HD video. But yes, you can get it on there. You can also, I think you can also embed like YouTube videos and things like that onto your web builder that you get through us.
Yeah, cool. There's another one as well. I think it's just called Biscuit. So Biscuit asks, if I'm planning to record a program, do I need to manually schedule the recording for a repeat? Is there a way to pre-schedule a recorded program that has not yet happened? There is kind of, if you could create the event and create a playlist that's got nothing in it, essentially, and schedule that for broadcasting. And then once your live recording is finished, you could then place it into that playlist. And then once you've saved that playlist, it's then applied those save changes to your event then. So, even if it's a week's time, as long as you put that recorded track in that playlist, it will play at that scheduled time, even if you haven't recorded that show yet. Quick fire, Dave.
Some quick troubleshoots as well for live connections. If you're having trouble connecting live, kind of the top three things I'd say: check your stations on air. A lot of people don't have stations off air when they're trying to cut live and thinking the station will come on. That's not true. It needs to be on air first. The second one is check you've got a live DJ event scheduled or you've got live anytime enabled. And I'd say really the third one is double check the live broadcasting details you've got. They are quite close to your FTP details as well, especially the host and the password are the same, the username and the port are different. So that's it's a kind of a little thing, but it's definitely worth checking those three things first. They're quick troubleshoots as well.
Cool. Let's see if there's anything coming in on the live one. Of course there is. It's just a case of reading it and finding it. Yes, it's a good one. So Fabio asks, it says, it's a very simple question, but it's very, very important to know. Do I have to keep my PC or Mac switched on 24/7? Can I switch it off? Yes, you can. As soon as you turn your station on, our servers actually take control of it and power it for you. So, you can turn your station on and then turn everything off and do whatever you like because your station is still on and we'll keep it powering for you. So, turn your computer off. Take yourself off the grid if you wanted to. It's still playing 24/7, so don't you worry.
We had a question as well about how much time you need to put in from Kate Robinson. It doesn't have to be a full-time gig, no. It can be if you want. We've got kind of some stations where maybe have like 15, 20 people working on them. Some that maybe just someone by themselves who maybe broadcast live on the weekends. They maybe do DJ sets and things like that. So you can really get out of it what kind of you want to put in. Really, if you've only got maybe a couple of hours spare here and there, that's more than enough to keep your station ticking over and obviously keeping your music updated and your playlist. That's fine. And if you want to spend a bit more time on it, maybe you're at home a bit more recently at the moment as well. You're more than welcome to kind of put as many hours into it as you've kind of got available, really.
Charles S has asked, can I stream my station to Facebook Live, Instagram Live, or YouTube, and how? There is a way to stream your station live to Facebook and YouTube. We've actually got a guide about how to simultaneously broadcast to them both at the same time. I believe it uses, is it OBS, I believe?
Yeah.
Is that right, guys?
Yeah.
So we've got a guide on how to set that up. So so if you head to our help center or our blog and type in video, you'll find it there, and that'll sort of show you how to set it up. Instagram, I don't believe there is a way to do that. I'm not too sure.
Not too sure.
If there is a way, I'm sure we'll find it. But yeah, for Facebook
Probably
and
on
YouTube,
OBS.
we've got guides on how to do it through OBS. So do have a read of them.
They've got another question. Is there a way to have separate storage for various shows under one account? I presume that means maybe like separate storage area for tracks or versus jingles, maybe versus kind of like longer recorded talk shows. There isn't. They will go, anything uploaded will go into the general media tracks folder. However, I'd maybe go back to what Phil was doing before with tags. And really sort out your tags on those kind of things, so you can really set those kind of things up in your schedule.
Johnny R asks, how can I broadcast my station from like an iPhone or an iPad? Yes, you can. We've got a mobile app you can download for iOS called Pocket Streamer, and that basically acts as a portable microphone that you can sort of broadcast directly live from. It's really good if you're, obviously you can't do it at the moment due to the pandemic that's happening around us, but if you were to do on-location interviews or cover events, then you don't need to take your computer, you don't need to take obviously all your equipment. Just take an iPhone or an iPad and use Pocket Streamer to interview people live or just report from there. The sound quality is really, really good. It works, I said, exactly like the sound quality of your station. So look for Pocket Streamer on the Apple App Store.
Dwayne Woodyard asks, any plans to change the album artwork on apps from round to square? Album artwork doesn't really fit the square space well.
There is on some, to my knowledge, I think maybe the Android ones, it can't be changed, but I think iOS you can choose square or circle, but the Androids, I think it's whichever way around it is, are kind of set. They can only be one of them due to kind of a limitation there, really. But yeah, they can kind of, on one of them it can only be one way around.
So Sarah asks, where can I get a good news source from for the news bulletin builder? There isn't really like a definitive one that we would across the board sort of recommend. I know one that people do tend to use a lot. It's called Feature Story News, and that's a sort of good service that I think they do a couple of different versions, maybe 30 seconds, 2 minutes. But yeah, have a look on their website, and they create MP3 streams for your news, which will work perfectly well in the news bulletin builder. So yeah, have a look for them and see what you can get. I think we've got loads of questions. It's the thing that takes the longest is actually reading them.
I know.
Finding out which ones to ask. A quick one, just obviously off the back of Pocket Streamer. Listen UK Radio asks, how do you broadcast from Android? With, I guess the simple answer is with quite difficulty, really. We haven't got an equivalent for Android currently, but hopefully it's something that we can develop in the future to have a similar app from Pocket Streamer for Android. So watch this space. Hopefully it's something we can introduce in the near future.
I am aware as well, because I know a few stations have done it. People actually voice tracked through their Android phones as well. So that is something you can do through voice track. You can voice track through your Android phone.
Cool. So you can still sort of do pre-recorded shows through your Android. That's good to know.
Yeah.
And a biscuit again chipping in. Do I need BUT or the Radio.co broadcaster? If you've got Windows, use our broadcaster because it's very clean. It works well. We've actually had, I think, a review from Johnston Sound said it's great. So thank you very much. So yeah, you can download our broadcaster for Windows from your dashboard. For Mac users, again, kind of similar to the Pocket Streamer Android thing, where we are hoping to develop a broadcaster for Mac users. So at the moment, use BUT for Mac, but for Windows, strongly recommend using our Radio.co broadcaster because it uses the exact same login details as your account, so it's incredibly easy to sign into.
Okay, we have 1 minute left, so possibly time for one or two more questions.
I've got one here. I have a budget of $100. Will I need to extend my budget? If not, can you give me the names of the things I will need? Essentially, all you need is a computer and music. That's all you really need to get started on Radio.co. That's kind of the basic it is, and you can build yourself from there through mixing desks, microphones, etc. if you want to go live. But yeah, a laptop, computer, Mac, whatever it is, and access to the internet. That's all you need.
Cool. And I guess last question, Andrew from Raspberry, I think it's the name of the station. How do I get a license? It's license. We've got great guides on our website about licensing. Obviously, we don't cover it in our plans at the moment, but do have some great guides that will help point you in the right direction of getting in touch with the licensing organisation for your home country. So contact them; they'll sort you out.
Yeah, and we're hoping to do something on licensing at some point.
Yeah, unfortunately, the pandemic has kind of halted conversations at the moment. But yeah, it is something we are hoping to incorporate very soon, licensing within Radio.co.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's our time up. We've answered quite a lot of questions, but there's a lot of questions that we've not had time to get round to. I think what we might do is roll some of these questions into next times. So in 2 weeks' time, we'll be back here, same time, same place. And we'll pick up where we left off, I think.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. And like I said, Dave mentioned, if there's any sort of particular questions, we can have a look and get in contact with us, and we'll sort of answer any particular questions as and when we can.
Yeah, anything you need to kind of send us a message, and we'll do our best to get in touch.
Great. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, and see you all in 2 weeks.
Radio.co